What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we'll be doing the most asked video I have been asked to do recently, which is building Denver International Airport episode 2. A few months ago I did release the first episode of how I am building my 1:1 accurate in 1/400 scale Denver International Airport, and this will be part 2 of that. In the last episode, we painted the airport and received all of our terminals and everything. In this video, we will be doing the horizontal and vertical lines on the airport, as well as some ground foils and some other interesting techniques I have learned about building an airport. Let's dive straight into it. To start us off with our concrete squares, quote unquote, essentially what they are is just vertical lines going this way and then horizontal lines going this way, and they make it look like the concrete squares that they have on most American and out of country airports as well. All you need for this is some ace rulers or any really yardsticks, and then I tape them together so it's the length of my entire airport. And then you need a Bic, just standard black pen. This one works the best because it is a ballpoint pen, sort of, as you can see. So that does work the best for these types of airports, so it doesn't leak all over your airport. I will cue a time lapse of me doing a few of them so you can get a better example of how to do it, and then we'll move on to the vertical ones and some other important stuff for your model airport. As you can see, we have finished the horizontal lines on the airport, and it does look pretty good. But unfortunately, something that is inevitable is these ink marks that it leaves behind. So my recommendation is to use the same color you did kind of right here, or if it's a lighter color, whatever color you're using on your model airport. I recommend painting over this before you move on to the horizontal lines, because it'll make it much more complicated to do so after you do the horizontal lines. So my next step before I do the horizontal lines is I'm going to show you guys how I paint over my ink mistakes. If your paint has been sitting for a long time, I do recommend using a stir stick, as you can see back there, and stirring your paint, because if you do paint the oily stuff that's not mixed up all over your airport, it'll be different colors and dilute the other paint, and it won't look good. So make sure you thoroughly stir your old paint for about a minute. I'm going to start off with this red part right here. I did accidentally spill some of my paint pen all over the airport, and this works as well as for ink marks just around the airport. You can just paint over it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my base coat after I did stir it up. You don't want too much, but you might have to do multiple layers, of course, because dark red will kind of go through gray. I just recommend taking a small paintbrush and kind of just going like this. I would avoid to try to hit the lines over there, because then you're gonna have to redo the lines, and that's more work for you. So do your best to avoid the lines and just paint over it like so. If we do move over here, you can see even more messes that I made with the ink. So I'm going to go around the entire airport and fix all of these and come back to you, and we will work on the horizontal lines. Of course, you do need to let the paint dry after you do paint over your mistakes. We have fixed all of the patches around the airport that we can do at the moment. And as I did mention, we have finished the vertical lines. Now I'll be showing you guys a quick time lapse of some of the horizontal lines, and we'll move on with the video. I wanted to do a quick pause on the time lapse to show you something very important. With these Bic pens, there can be a huge buildup of ink, as you can see on the very tip. So I do recommend getting a Kleenex or tissue or toilet paper or whatever, and then just rubbing it on there after each line, because otherwise that's how you get those buildups of ink on your airport. Something important that I did forget to mention is when you are drawing the lines, it is recommended to keep the pencil almost at a 90-degree angle, maybe like 75, because if you're going down the line like this, it's not going to pick up ink. Also, you don't want to be like this and going like that, so you have to have a little bit of an angle, but almost 90, more like 75 degrees. It is a bit hard to see, but I have finished all of the squares on the airport and repainted some of the areas that needed to be repainted, like that I messed up on the lines and stuff. But I think it looks pretty good overall, and we'll get on to the next area. After you have finished these squares on your model airport and painted over the areas that are messed up or double lined or whatever, the next thing you have to do is the hardest part of a model airport, and that's all the ground foils. So like the taxiway, the gate lines, the runway lines, that is the hardest part of any airport. So I'm going to show you guys my gate templates, and you guys are more than welcome to copy these down or write them down for your model airport. So for anything 757 and below, this is the template for that. You can see we have 3.5 inches and then another 2.5. This is 11 centimeters long with 4 centimeters on each side. And the vertical, or the 45-degree angle lines, are 4.5 inches. So take a quick screenshot of this and we'll get on to the next one. This next one is for anything A330 or 787 or wide bodies such as that. We have 3 centimeters at the top, then 4.5, and then 3.5 right here, and then the 45-degree angle lines are 7 centimeters. The whole length is 15 centimeters, and each of these wings is 6 centimeters. I will readjust this, and you can take a screenshot of that, and we'll move on to the last one. The last one is for your A380 or 747-800, like the really big aircrafts. You have 3 centimeters at the top, 4.5 centimeters long on this top part. Then from there another 5.5 centimeters with 10 centimeters on each line or each 45-degree angle. And the whole thing is 20 centimeters with 8.5 centimeters on each sides there. So you can pause and screenshot this. After you have finished your templates, it is finally time to start drawing your gate markings. And I'll be starting off with Concourse A at my airport. As you can see, I have set out the terminal. I believe by setting out the terminal, it'll be easier to tell where to put the gate markings, which will end up making the process much faster. So we're going to dive straight into the gate markings with pencil first, of course. So it is a bit hard to see, but I do have Apple or Google Maps up over here. And then over here I have my gate markings. So for the A concourse on this side, it is all Frontier and Delta, which are narrow bodies that park on this side. So I'm going to use my narrow body gate and sort of match it up with what's going on over here at the actual airport. And then once I actually have the gate where I want it to, I want to hold it down pretty firmly and take a pencil. I do not recommend using anything else except a pencil, otherwise you're going to be very disappointed with the results. But basically all you do is you kind of mark the corners, so the very top corner, and then this corner, and this one right here, oopsies, and the bottom one, and then you do the exact same for the other side. And there you have it. You can see all your main points for where your gate is going to be drawn out. I do recommend doing all your gates in pencil before using the paint pen. It's a little hard to see, but I have finished all of my gate markings with pencil, and now I'll be moving on to paint pen. For paint pens, I do recommend using this brand, which is the Posca. They have these all over Amazon, and they are great for paint pens and very good. But they do bleed a lot, so I'm going to be showing you some techniques to help it not bleed. Something super important to make the gate paintings or markings look really good is to flip the ruler upside down. So this is how it is normal with the flat surface on the bottom. Flipping it over leaves a gap underneath so that if you get paint under there, it won't smear when you pull your ruler away. That's why you cannot do it this way, because as soon as you pick it up, it's just going to smear the paint all over your airport, and then you're just going to have to keep going over and over again. So 100% make sure it is upside down like this, so there is a ledge right there. I will come back to you guys once I have finished one of the gates, and we'll see how it turns out. So here is my first gate marking. If you ask anybody building a model airport, they'll tell you it's almost nearly impossible to get a completely straight, without blurs or blurps all over the airport, a perfectly straight gate. It is so difficult. You can see like right there, a little bit spilled, and also right there. So I'm just gonna have to take a paintbrush and go back over it, unfortunately, and restart until I get it right. So it's very difficult, let me tell you. But if you get it right, it'll look fantastic in the end. So this is how you do your gate marking. As I did mention, you always have to flip the ruler upside down, or it will completely ruin the gate marking altogether. So make sure you are doing that. And also you might have to do 1 or 2 coats over each gate marking once you finish the first one. One thing I did want to say is when you are doing your gate markings, tilt the ruler forward just a tad. So if it's like keeping it upside down, you can tilt it forward just a little bit, as long as the tip isn't touching the ground. And that'll help improve your accuracy and remove blurs and blobs such as that one, and crooked lines like this. The terminal area is currently a mess, but you can see I have finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different gateways for the airport, and I do think they do look pretty good. Once again, I'd like to remind you of the techniques that I went over, so make sure you rewind and listen to that about the ruler and how you don't want to lay it flat and tilt it just a little bit so it doesn't leak or bleed all over your model airport. So that is it for episode 2. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. In the next video, we'll be going over taxiway lines and finishing up this, and then we'll start on our runway. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys did enjoy this tutorial, and if you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more updates like this and to see the finished product of my Denver airport. Thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.